Top 5 hiring mistakes lawyers make. Point number 1.
Hiring talkers instead of doers. This, I've noticed, is probably one of the biggest indicators of low performance and low sustainability hires versus long-term sustainable high ROI people. People that are talkers talk and don't perform well, and people that are doers do and don't talk well. And what I found is people that are really, really good at their job interview and are really good at talking are actually underperform when they actually have to perform. So I look for indications to indicate, are they a talker or a doer? If the role is for a talking role, so let's just say if it's for intake or sales or document collection or something, or client success manager, something like that, then yes, by all means, you want to hire the talker because that's what you need. You need somebody to be able to communicate clearly and be able to have good, deep conversations with the client. However, if there's roles where it's required to get stuff done, such as like a director role, a manager role, things behind the scenes, things like that, you need doers for those roles. And you want to make sure to be able to categorize that type of person and don't just base it based on what they say. Because again, if they're going to just tell you, if you just do it based on what they tell you, then you might fall for the trap of hiring the talker. And that's usually what happens. Spot that out early and put him in the right role. If you don't, then you're gonna regret that. Little indicators of who are the talkers. Let me quickly go over these because I think it's pretty important to be on the lookout. Talkers end up usually having from what I've seen, 3 signs. Number 1 is they talk about the past, things that they've done, and they usually fluff it up and they make it seem amazing. And you're like, wow, great, wow, sounds amazing. Second thing that they do is they talk about things that they're gonna do. And I'm gonna do this, and I'm also gonna do this. Or sometimes it's like when you give them tasks, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna do this too. I'm gonna do this too. Instead of the ones that are doers are prioritizing, or sometimes they comment on it. Hey, maybe we shouldn't focus on this. They don't just try to assume that everything is just gonna be done. And the third sign is people that extend the time. So that means the talkers have usually longer meetings. But let's just say you schedule a 30-minute meeting and you notice that it's going beyond the 30 minutes. Those are like telltale signs that you're probably dealing with a talker. And again, if the role is a talking role, by all means, those types of people should be talkers in those roles. But if they're in a doer role, they're showing you those 3 signs, then you might want to realign things. Let's go to point number 2. Second hiring mistake costing millions is hiring for skills and not cultural fit. You gotta enjoy working with that person because it's not just, there's a lot of intangibles in work to make it work, right? Let's just say you're playing a basketball game. The experience and the enjoyment leads to your focus and your skills to be able to play a good game. So even if they have the right skills and they're great, but you don't feel good with them, then that lowers your performance and your focus. And instead of being in a positive expected value for you to work with them. But if that brings you down, then overall the expected value is actually less. So you got to take a wholesome approach. And for me, it's all about sustainability. Do you imagine yourself working with this person for many years? If from the get-go the answer is no, then it's just a matter of time when you're gonna butt heads. And if that's the case, then it's better to pull the band-aid early, not waste time investing time and effort to train somebody and go deep into a business with somebody, and then 5 months later you have to cut the band-aid, and just like efforts went wasted. All right, let's go to point number 3, overvaluing credentials over practical skills. Somebody comes to you, they graduated from Harvard and they worked at a big law firm. Is that important for you, or somebody who potentially worked in a relevant practice type with a very similar cultural background or culture of your law firm? Which one matters more for you? Usually the ones that are like higher tiered, they come from higher tiered schools and they go work in these corporate roles. From what I've heard from those types of people is that they take on a very specific one particular role in a big company that has a lot going on. And they don't get really hands-on, practical, real, raw experience that it takes to be able to be a well-rounded lawyer. Ultimately, the practical skills is tied to hands-on experience. And I'd rather work with somebody who's worked at a small law firm who has actual hands-on experience, from be able to onboard a new client all the way through the information gathering, the writing up the demand letters and the discovery, all that work, those practical hands-on experience is where it's at, especially for, I think most of our listeners are like small law firm owners. You want to look for those types of people who have that hands-on experience. All right, let's go to point number 4. Fourth biggest hiring mistake is failing to define the role clearly. A lot of people just hire and just expect the person just come in, figure it out, and fill in the holes. But from our experience, we know that doesn't work. Is that every law firm is different. So you got to clearly define exactly what you do, what the rest of the team is doing, and thus this is where you fall into this big picture of the law firm. People require 2 things. One is ownership of their role.
Yeah.
And number 2, something to look forward to. Ownership means that this is your world, your responsibility. If there's a disparity or there's a divided ownership and the people don't feel like it's their baby to take care of, then they're just going to assume that the other person is just taking care of it. And this happens all the time. This is probably one of the biggest inefficiencies in any size of law firm, especially the bigger that it gets, right? There's no ownership. Oh, I think that person's supposed to do it. And at the end, the boss checks in and checks on and it's like, who did it? It's like, well, I thought they were supposed to. And then the other person is like, no, I thought you were supposed to. And then at the end, got nothing done. So make sure that the ownership is clearly defined. You add a label. Hey, this goal that we're trying to achieve, this is your responsibility. Okay? Make sure you do that very specifically. And 2, something to look forward to. If you just bring somebody on and you think that they're just going to be on the hamster wheel for you to just do things for you 40 hours a week, the next 12 months, it's a dead end. It's a dead end for them because people just inherently want something to look forward to. And something I noticed by myself, when I don't have something to look forward to, whether it be a goal or a vacation or a trip, something to look forward to, then life just becomes meaningless. And then it's just a matter of time where you get burnt out and you're like, and you start questioning things. What is this for? And you don't really realize that you actually start self-sabotaging yourself and your work. You just don't realize why that is. And then later you realize maybe I didn't have anything to look forward to. So what I try to do is programmatically create incentives or something that people could grow to in every role. There's no role that we have that doesn't have some incentive or something to grow to. And that drives people. And that gives people a reason to wake up in the morning and try to achieve that goal. And if they achieve that goal, great, let's go to the next level and next level. And the winners that I've seen thrive and love it, they want it. What's my goal? Where should I grow to? The ones who fight it off are the lazy people. And those are the ones that you want to eventually filter through. Point number 5, which is not setting up the onboarding process properly. Onboarding, we've talked about this before. Again, when somebody joins, they're not clear exactly what they should do, how they should get onboarded, what tools are you using, who should I be communicating with, what are my resources, who are my resources, all that stuff. And it requires a really good, clear, standard operating procedure that we talked about multiple times throughout this show. And you can't just let people figure things out. It's up to you to clarify those terms and those instructions that people need to go through as they get onboarded. Because I'm going to share with you my last onboarding, exactly what I did and the top takeaways. I'm going to summarize the onboarding that I just recently did. So the first tool that I'm going to put on people's radar is a 30, 60, 90-day plan. Essentially, it just comes down to as you onboard, especially when in those key roles, the directors, the new partner, lawyer, whatever, those key roles, you want to ask them then within the first 2 weeks to provide you a 30, 60, 90 plan based on what they see. That essentially means what are you going to be doing the first 30, 60, 90 days. And it's a plan that they come up with that you want to hold them accountable to. And after 90 days, based on this 90-day plan that you came up with, how much of that did you perform? People are not going to go through everything, but at the very least, 50% of that should be completed. But if you see that they put down something on paper, and after the 90 days, they're nowhere near to that, well, guess what? That 90 days is a pretty good indication of what the next 100, how many days is going to look like. And it's a very good way to evaluate the performance. So definitely required for us right away. Our mind goes through, let's getting a 30, 60, 90 plan. And then from there, evaluating how things are going to go. Number 2, ScribeHow.com. We mentioned it in one of our previous podcasts. And at the time, I mentioned that I knew about it. I just didn't use it. We signed up for a couple of weeks ago. We have so much training. We actually have a dedicated person just for training. So I signed up for an account. I believe it was like $30, $40 a month.
That's very expensive.
not expensive. Well, worth it. If you're considering doing it, I wouldn't overthink it. I would just sign up for a monthly and try it out. But it basically allows you to create really amazing SOPs and instructions. Last thing I'll share is a summary of my onboarding. A cool thing that I did was since I've created so many law firms, all I did was I consolidated my checklist of things that I need to be able to create a law firm. A very consolidated, amazing list. I'm actually going to be sharing this list inside of Lawyer Club. After I did my 2-hour onboarding in person to this director to get them onboarded to come and create a law firm from scratch, on a whiteboard, I basically summarized the gist of the onboarding that I said, this is it. This is your focus going forward. So even if I don't talk to you for the next couple of weeks, come back to this whiteboard and that'll be sitting here at this office. So to get you back on track. If this looks good on YouTube, please let us know. If you watch this on YouTube, just let us know. So again, we're trying this out. All right. We'll see you in the next episode. Let's actually share the next episode.